Okay, here we go. End of June, June 30th. And welcome back there, Mr. Russell. I got to tell you, your ears were probably on fire because we came out with our new version of Cypto, and we can run multiple projects now on the phones. So that is awesome. So yeah, I've got all these phones now that have blank spots for YouTube videos and Amazon products. So I figured I was going to throw you in the mix and test your Amazon umbrellas.
Sounds good to me. I got YouTube videos, I got Amazon products, I got Shopify products. So I stumbled across the new interface. I'm like, what the heck is this? I better get on the call and see what's going on.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. I've got to be honest, I've mostly just used the Google stuff. I've used the Bing on one of my projects and it worked, just as well. But I've got a bunch of people now that are using the YouTube and using the Amazon, and they're just over the moon with it. So I'm assuming it works just as well, but I want to see for myself.
Yeah. So did you have any kind of webinar or anything talking about the new features and how they work? Or
I did in our membership area, I did put up a getting started video. I replaced the old one because the old one's completely out the window now. So I did a new video last night and I put it up. So if you go into the members area under the getting started tab, it's just a short video. I just kind of go through the screens and show how to set each one of the projects up, which they're almost identical. It's very, very little change. It's just you have a option now of which type of project you want to start.
So that would be my question without looking at the videos. Like, if say there's 5 different items on there, you got Amazon, you got YouTube, you got Bing, you got Google. Can you do all of them in one phone, or is it
Yes.
one per phone? Yeah.
No, you can, if you look at the phone, if you look at the new app on the phone, it's got all 5 slots. So what you can do is, if you're not running the others, you just leave it blank. But if you're running all of them, you just put the project code for that individual one in the right slot. So you can't run 5 Google projects on the phone, but you can run one of each of the 5.
So if you run one of each of the 5, does say it's 5, does that take 5 sessions and kind of divvy up the number of
no,
things that you get?
It's actually 5 projects. So you set up a project for Google, let's say, that's going to get 250 searches. You set up a project for Bing, that's going to get 250 searches. So each one of the projects gets 250 searches for every phone it's connected to.
So if you have a Google project that has 10 keywords and you get 250 searches, it's going to be divided by those 10.
Correct.
Keywords.
Yeah. So we usually recommend that you don't use that many. You can put up to 12 in, but we typically recommend you try and start with like 3 or 4.
I was going to ask you that. If you have one that's got like 5,000 searches a month, would you just kind of focus just on that one keyword to get that traffic, or no?
I would never go down to 1.
Okay.
Unless you've got a ton of other traffic and you're going to be hidden in the cloud. Remember the cloud cover strategy.
Okay.
You don't want to do anything where you're, flying out in clear blue sky. So I would never, hit something and make it look unnatural. But we've got, like, Chris has a client where it's super competitive and it's in the micro circuitry, forget what they call it, but anyway, it's a semiconductor. Super competitive. It's a big company. They have a ton of traffic. They have an absolute ton of traffic going to the site. So he's got a single keyword that they're throwing, I think, 20,000 searches a month on a single keyword, but it's hidden in the rest of their traffic. So it works. But I wouldn't do that on a brand new site. That would be a little bit on the crazy side.
Okay.
Not to say it wouldn't work, but I just don't see that as being a safe practice.
Okay. All right, sounds good. I'll have to watch your video and see what it looks like.
All right. Well, anyway, your umbrella was at number 52 yesterday when I set the campaign up. So I'm going to be watching it, and
Oh,
we're going to see if we can do better than 52 for you.
that sounds great. Thanks, buddy.
You got it. All right. Anybody else got anything different you want to talk about?
Story time.
Oh, yep. Gregory, go ahead. He's got a great story for you guys.
Okay, so I'm on YouTube and I hit lots of inspirational sites. So here's the story about the frog race and the tower. So the frogs gather around this tower annually, and they all get ready to cheer on the contestants to go up the tower. And as the contestants start, the frogs get ready to start, and they start going up the tower, the crowd starts yelling out, "It's too dangerous, it's too hard." And frogs go up, and then some fall off. It's too loud. They get louder. It's too hard. They put doubt into the racers, and they keep going up, and then they fall off. So about halfway around to the tower, half of the frogs have dropped out, and the crowd gets louder and screams more. "Can't do it. It's impossible. You're gonna get hurt. It's not gonna happen." And finally, one frog reaches the top, and the crowd goes like, "Oh, he did it." When the winning frog comes down back to the ground, all the frogs around, "How'd you do it? How'd you do it? How'd you do it?" And the winning frog doesn't answer.
He's deaf.
And they're going on. Exactly. That was the story. That's the clue of the story. At the back of the crowd, someone yelled out, says, "He's deaf. He can't hear you." So I took that story to heart because my trading was doing real good at the end of January and then fell apart in February. And part of it was I was listening to a lot of other frogs around me at school who didn't really have a comprehension of what I was doing, but they wanted to adhere to the school guidelines. And then therefore, it's sort of like ate at me. So now I'm becoming a death frog. And that's my contribution for this morning.
So in other words, don't listen to the naysayers.
Right. Good story, Greg.
That's cool. You know, that actually relates to Google in traffic and the way Google plays people. Google has a PR machine specifically for SEO. And his name used to be Matt Cutts. And he just got to the point where he was so discredited and disgraced and everything that they just had to make him go away because he was useless at that point. They had thrown him under the bus so many times that he was just crushed. But regardless of who it is, who the face man is, or how the story leaks, Google is constantly leaking information into the mainstream, or not necessarily the mainstream, but into the SEO mainstream of what you can and what you cannot do in regards to SEO, search engine optimization. And they do this. I mean, it's obvious why they do it, right? They're trying to control the market. They're trying to control the industry, and they're trying to eliminate SEO. They do not like people manipulating their results. So in relationship to Gregory's story about the deaf frog, what I do is I actually do listen. I listen to what they say, and I just do the polar opposite. And that has worked almost nonstop since the beginning. It's like whatever they tell you to do, you don't do it. Whatever they tell you that you can't do, you go full steam. Yeah, within reason. But that's that story. When I heard that, it was like, oh, okay, this is Google in disguise, but just a little different twist. And it's the same thing a lot. Life in general, I've found, is the same thing. If mainstream media is telling you to run towards something, I usually turn around and run the opposite direction. I've always kind of done that. And it comes down to another animal. It's not the toads, it's the lemmings. It's like, you know, one lemming runs off a cliff and the rest of them follow and they all wind up at the bottom, not moving too well. Some not at all. And I always have done that. Like if everybody's doing something, I put the brakes on. I pump the brakes hard. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Why are they doing that? And generally it's because somebody told them to. And when I really think about the ramifications, I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing that. And it's interesting how that works. And I know this doesn't have anything to do with internet marketing necessarily, but it kind of does. And it's the whole crypto thing. And people don't understand what that is. Crypto is nothing more than technology. It is, they're now referring to it as Web 3.0. And I got to tell you, I just, the light bulb kind of just went on of what that means just recently. And, you know, transactions and all that. I know the banks are in trouble because of the way things are going. But the thing that the light bulb that went on was, holy shit, the credit card companies they got the same issue. You know, if I think about all the fees that I have spent on credit card processing over the last 20 years, it's like, holy shit, you could damn near buy a house with it. That in the Web 3.0 is going to disappear. Crypto is going to allow people to take control of their money, take control of their banking, take control of their money processing, and self-custody the whole thing. So with Web 3.0, how that ties in, and I'm going to start looking into this because I want to be on the front edge of this thing when it happens. But I'm pretty sure that all the shopping carts are eventually going to take crypto payments. It's inevitable. It's just flat inevitable. If you don't think that's coming, just wait. It will be here before you know it. And it's going to save businesses a ton of money. I mean, think about big business. The bigger the business, the more they spend in credit card processing. All that money moves through credit cards. The other thing about it is, and I'm not bashing credit card processing at all. I think, you know, the people behind it are great. They've provided a great service up to a certain point. But at some point, when that point gets here, it's going to become a dinosaur. But, you know, the bigger the business, the more money that they're spending, and the more that is going to go into profit or decreased costs. You know, if I'm paying 4% less in my overhead, that means I can afford to pass that on to my customers. Now, most businesses won't do that. They'll just put it in their pocket and run. But it will allow those that want to do it to do that, to pass that savings on to their customers. So it's just, you know, when I look at everything, you got to keep your eyes open. You got to look for opportunity. That's just like what I talk about in the first section of ACT, is putting on these goggles and looking through the ACT goggles of where's the opportunity. You know, the segments, where's the buckets, where's the profit, follow the money, all that stuff. So I think there's going to be a lot of money, not only in mostly I think in the web development portion. Everybody is going to pour into this, just like they did with websites back in the 90s. They were pouring in. I made an absolute fortune building websites and hosting back in the early days. And then in commerce, made a fortune building commerce sites. And at this point, it's going to be the evolution of the commerce sites moving up to accepting crypto. And I think there's going to be just a landslide of that type of business. And think about if you can become the expert in that, be on the front edge of it, and help those people migrate across the river. There'd be a ton of money in that boat. I can assure you. So anyway, Richard, you got your hand up there. Got to unmute, and there you go. Oh, we're still not hearing you. You're not the deaf frog, you're the mute frog. Well, we'll come back to you if you can figure that one out. Anyway, on to another topic here. A lot of people were asking me if I was going to go to Perry Belcher's event out in Las Vegas. I did actually pony up, buy the ticket for it. So if anybody wants to get in on that, I will be in Vegas in August at his event. It's at the Red Rock, and that's 3 days. It looks like some incredible content, all related to traffic, different types of traffic sources. Nothing really related to SEO. It's all other forms of traffic. A couple of them I'm particularly interested in. One of them it's called Google's Performance Max. And it's a version of their pay-per-click. I don't know too much about it yet, other than what I've heard, and I've heard it's amazing. I've heard it's almost like an ad agency version of Google.
John, I have a guy that's doing it for me. It's amazing. It's so much better than the regular Google ads.
Yeah, cool.
They use the intelligence and bring in, like they're doing search, display, all kind of different things, doing audience targeting and all kind of stuff. And it's really, really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great to hear, because that's kind of what I heard. So that's great to reinforce that. But I'm taking somebody out there with me that I'm working on training right now, and possibly opening up services. If any of you guys are interested in having those programs run for you, that's one of them, the Google Performance Max. I think that's going to be a dynamite service. I think there's a ton of money to be made in that, both in the service offering of it and also just in the traffic for your business, because that's been the biggest problem for most people. Well, I don't want to say the biggest problem for most people. It's the biggest problem for most people that are ready for traffic. Like if you're not ready for traffic, traffic is not your problem. Believe me. Conversion is your biggest problem right out of the gate, is figuring out your funnel, figuring out what's going to sell when you do bring the traffic to it. But that assumption being up front that you've got that figured out. Let's say you've been through ACT, you've got your funnel, you've put some people through it, and it actually works. Now your next step is the T, it's the traffic. And most people's problem with traffic is getting enough traffic for the right price and getting the right traffic. Obviously, you don't just want a bunch of traffic across your site. You want the right traffic across your site. So from everything I've heard about this Performance Max, it is like 10 steps in the right direction as far as paid traffic goes, buying it through Google. And, they've got all the stuff in place to do this. They've had it all in place for years. It's just really exciting now to see them put it together and make it available. So pretty cool stuff. The other thing I'm particularly interested in, and I don't know why I haven't jumped on this already, other than just my pure sense of laziness, is the YouTube advertising. And I've been talking about YouTube advertising now There, we can hear you now, Richard. But I've been talking about YouTube advertising now for at least 2 years, probably 3. And most of the time I've been talking about it, nobody was seeing it. But now if you watch YouTube videos, I'm sure you're seeing the ads. They're actually getting annoying at this point. But they're so well targeted. Like if you're watching a YouTube video on any particular topic, you're going to be seeing highly, highly relevant ads to that. In fact, even competitors' ads. So if you think about that, how would you like to show up in front of your competitors' traffic? Pretty good place to show up. That's a pretty good traffic source. Again, it's like anything else. You got to get this stuff right. You can't just throw up some cheesy video on YouTube and expect people to come. You better have a big idea behind it. You better have a call to action at the end of it. And you better create some demand and desire in the middle of it, or you're not going to get anybody to click. Nobody's going to be coming. All you'll be doing is getting in front of them and pissing them off with a wasted message. You're wasting their time. Don't ever waste people's time. That's not a good spend of your time, and it definitely does not help your image. Because if you upset them in one fashion, and then let's say you retarget them, they're already going to have a bad taste. So they're going to ignore your retargeting, and now you're just wasting money. It compounds the evil. So make sure whatever you put out, if you're going to follow people around, make damn good and sure it's useful stuff and you're not wasting their time. All right, Richard, I think your test went through, so let's hear what you got.
I don't know what's going on. We had to. Are you hearing me okay? You're getting an echo.
You're loud and clear.
Okay. Two things. Number one, do you have a purchase page on your website somewhere where I can buy the website? Because I thought I gave you a go-ahead for the Yarborough Group real estate website last week. I haven't heard back from you. I didn't know if you're still working on it, but I realized that there's no payment page or what. How do I pay you for that website? Come on, guy, you gotta have a payment portal.
I do, but with the resellers, I'm handling everything pretty much outside of the general platform. So your project is in play. The designers are working on it right now. So I would expect they should probably have something to us within the next day or so for you to look at and approve.
Okay, well, send me however it is you want me to pay you or when you want me to pay you. I guess if you're going to handle it, I'll wait till I get an email says, pay me money. I'll get it to you.
Yeah. I just, basically when it comes time to start paying the people off, then I send an invoice out. So that's
okay.
All of my resellers, I know, I trust you guys. I'm not worried about it. If I were taking people in just that I didn't know, yeah, they'd be paying up front. They would be paying up front at least a 50% deposit. But I am not worried at all with you guys and people I know. So not a big deal there.
Okay, one last technical thing is I just got another email from you saying that the payment failed because it came before the first of the month. You said you changed everything for me to get paid on the first of the month, and you need to check on whatever it was that bounced, because it's good on the first. I pay all the bills on the 25th to the 27th, and so it's available on the first, kind of a thing. So
I got you. What I should probably do is set it to be like the 5th.
That would work better. So that's great. Thank you.
Because with the automated payment stuff, it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to matter when you set it to do it. Sometimes it'll do it like a day before or a day after. I think it has to do with not all the months have the same amount of days in them. So
yeah, definitely. The last thing I have is one of the things that you've talked about is that SitePop is not a silver bullet, although a lot of us want to believe it is anyway. You say you still need to do content. That makes sense because our content's unique because nobody's talking about the stuff that the people in this group is talking about. But the link building, you've said, link building's tough now because it has to meet particular criteria and it's very expensive. It occurred to me long ago, one of the things that was popular that was quickly banned was those link farms where people were just building farms to build links and all that sort of stuff.
yes.
And they were doing it in a crappy way that Google slapped pretty hard. What about the herd of people you have in your group? Could we do an internal group where we have all of our sites are pretty much unrelated in a lot of ways? Could we do links within each other's that would be similar but non-competitive that we could actually drive traffic to for the other people in the group here, which would help having some powerful backlinks? Is that something that, or is that a big project? How big a project is that, I guess is the question.
No, it's not that it's a big project. I have two answers for your question. The first answer is yes, we could do that. The second answer is no, we're not going to. Because it's the same thing. It's a link farm. It's the exact same thing. And what you don't want to do is you do not want to be tied up in a net that gets sucked down. So I really don't recommend using those link farms anymore. They were great at a certain point, but they were great to the point till you started hearing them everywhere. Because I guarantee if you're hearing it everywhere, so is Google. And they're not stupid. They're very sharp group of gentlemen and women. They are really on top of their game. And a lot of times what they'll do is they'll start hearing that stuff and they'll wait. They'll wait till you get all tied up in a nice little ball, and then they'll cut the rope. So I really, and this is back to the PR thing. This goes back, God, I don't know, over 10 years ago. I had a bunch of customers, a bunch of SEO customers call me on a particular day. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? I mean, I got like 10 calls in a row from clients, and they were all asking me if I had seen this, what was it? I think it was the Google sitemap. They all said, hey, do we need a Google sitemap? I'm seeing this in the news. And I'm like, if you're seeing it in the news, we do not. And I didn't know what they were talking about. So I turned the news on that night, and sure enough, it was all over about this leaked secret, leaked out of Google, that how important it is to have this Google sitemap or they won't rank you. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's a mousetrap if I've ever seen one. So it's, they do that. They'll bait the mice. And you know what a mousetrap does? It usually kills the mouse. You might get a bite of cheese and you might be happy for a little while, but then you wind up with rigor mortis.
Are the link building services you've got in the area there under resources? I'm guessing they wouldn't be there if those weren't the right ones to use, or if they were not legit.
Yeah. Like Orange, I think I've got Orange Outreach in there. What you're looking for, it's actually called Outreach Link Building. And what they do, they actually reach out to webmasters. These are sites. These are real websites. They're not part of a link network. They're not part of a farm. They're actual real businesses. And what they do is they try and find complementary businesses with a reason to have a link. And then they put some kind of useful content on that site with the link going back over to you. Anything complementary. Obviously, a competitor is not going to put your stuff on their site. But, if you were let's say you were a realtor, right? Well, what is everyone going to need that either buys or sells a house, right? They're going to need a mover, right? 99 times out of 100, you're going to want somebody to move all your crap. So that would be a great link. It'd have a mover, link to a mover. That's a perfect example. So what you look for is you look for those complementary businesses, like for, let's say it's a diet site. If you had a diet site, you might want to look for workout programs, because those generally go hand in hand, and they're usually not offered by the same people. So you could have a reciprocal thing, and it's not, it's the link, but it's what the link does that's important. The link delivers traffic. The link gives a good user experience. Remember, Google's all about the user experience, and it's not like they're watching, but their AI is. It's learning. It's learning, hey, this site has people coming to it that have a good user experience. The reason that's important is Google wants to send their traffic to sites that give a good user experience. And that's how they're learning how to do that. That's the difference between the old school link building and today's link building. Nobody's talking about that because they haven't figured it out. And I mean, it looks pretty elementary to me in concept. It's like, why aren't people not figuring this out? Pretty simple what Google wants. They want a good user experience. They're trying to find websites that give it. So they're looking to third parties. They're looking to who has the traffic and who is providing a good user experience so they know where to send their people. Right? Hopefully that makes sense, but link building is that's the way you need to think about it.
Yeah, well, that's part of what I'm. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, that was part of what I was thinking about is that's why I'm going to be testing out to see if my SEO, the big lie, will work in terms of the people that are out there. You know, they've already got 2 strikes against them in terms of that is that because the rules don't work the way they do, and nobody's talking about the way the rules really work. So I'll talk about the way that John talks about the rules, and that's how it works now. And that seems to be getting people's attention.
Yeah, yeah. And all it is just the reality. That's the reality of, you know, the way it is.
Yeah, but they haven't figured it out yet, and nobody's talking about it in that way. It's still all about content is king. Well, no, it's not content. It's well optimized content. And it's like, well, it's really optimized, but if it's not related to your website, who cares how well it's optimized? It better be something that actually gives real value on the topic and, you know, checks all the boxes, literally goes down the ACT program and make sure that that's what's on your site, you know.
Yeah, and the reality is content is still king, but for a different reason. At first, the content was king because of the number of keywords it housed, and that's what they were looking at. And then it was king because if you had a lot, you were important. Now it's king as the way people consume that content. So it doesn't matter how much you have, it's how well consumed it is.
Do they stay on your site and read it?
Yeah. Do they read it? Do they follow the instructions? Do they go to the next page? Do they come back for more? Those are all the key components to what makes content king these days. Content is still king. There's no way that we're going to live in a society where content is not king in the search world. It's never going to change. The reason why is the only thing that will change. And the reason why is always what Google wants. It always has been.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it. Thank you much.
Yeah. Go ahead, Randy.
Hey, two questions. Well, 2 questions and 1 statement. One statement is in terms of billing, I lost my credit card. I didn't lose it. Well, I lost it and I had to replace it. So that's what happened with the billing. So I'm going to re-input that new card.
No worries.
I just got. The question, the 2 questions, go back. You mentioned funnels and you mentioned that more than once. And for us, for me, because maybe you guys are just on top of your game, explain what you mean when you say the funnel, because to me, the funnel seems like if I go into Kartra and build hey, come to this event, blah, 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 and that's kind of a funnel, isn't it?
Yeah, and think of it this way. I mean, I use the term funnel because everybody's using it, but it's not very well defined and it means a lot of things. But here's what the common thread. Whenever anyone refers to a funnel in any way, shape, or form, it is a sales process.
Okay, got it.
A funnel is nothing more than a sales process. It has a sales process can have a lot of pieces or it can have just one. You know, there's some people, if you're a really good salesperson and you get in front of a contact, you have a conversation, you make a sale. That's a simple, short, very short sales process. Other is, you know, you prospect, you generate a lead, you have a presentation, you know, you've got a follow-up, you've got a, you know, maybe a 10-step sequence, but it's all a sales.
John?
So basically it's whatever business you happen to be in, you found something that works for you from A to Z. So you use that process, whether it's a long video sales page, a short sales page, or some other process. But it's custom. It's something that you use because it's worked for you.
Yeah, remember I've said this all throughout the whole program, is when you find something that works in the real world, that's what you replicate and you automate it in the online space. If it works in the real world, it will work over here. If it doesn't work in the real world, I can assure you it's not going to work over here either. Yeah, Roger.
Hey, John, Randy.
Yeah.
I was just going to offer, I'm going to respectfully disagree with the definition of funnels.
Okay.
Back when I was doing corporate sales, a funnel meant how many prospects do you have? How far advanced are they in the sales process? There were several steps that had to be done, demonstrations, all of that stuff. Now in the web context, I take it to mean this. Randy, you're going to sell a widget. So you build a landing page in Kartra, and that's a landing page. If you use the term funnel, what you need to think of is, what do I do if this person gets to my landing page and declines to buy? So then the next step is, what do I do if I get somebody to my landing page and they agree to buy? Because great, you sold them one product, but certainly that means that they're really qualified to get your next product. So thinking of a funnel is, okay, I have XYZ that I'm selling, but I need products that are alternatives for the people that decline that. Maybe it's a easier, less expensive offering. And then I need a next step to take that person, as John says, in the timeline of their progress to achieve an end result. So you sell them XYZ, now they need your next thing. So once you've thought through an entire path for people at each step who say, yes, I'm going to buy this, great. Then you have another thing to take them to. Or no, I'm not going to buy that. Okay, how about this less expensive alternative? Then you have what is popularly called, I'm not going to say properly called, commonly called funnels in the Russell Brunson world of ClickFunnels and the way funnels is being used.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. And so it's a combination really of what John's talking about and what he's taught in the past, which is you always want to have an offer and you want to catch them in the net with an easy offer. And then you want to anticipate what their next thing is going to be. And if you already know what it's going to be, then you have that as a second step, third step, and so forth.
I just felt the need to accentuate exactly what you just said, because for a moment it sounded like you were thinking the landing page is synonymous with funnel, and it's really just what you said. Yeah, it's John's take them along the timeline and so have lots of offerings along the way.
Yeah, it's just so a funnel or a sales process could be, like I said, as simple as just a conversation, an offer, and a sale, or it could be what Roger's talking about. It could be very complicated. Could be if then. There's a lot of if then statements in a lot of these advanced funnels, like especially when you get into Russell Brunson stuff, and he does, the advanced funnel marketing and building, he uses ClickFunnels versus Kartra, and they do a lot of upsells, downsells, and it's kind of more the irritating salesperson that gets into your living room and won't leave till you buy something.
Yeah, I got it. So whatever floats your boat or fits your personality.
Exactly. And that's why I say what works for you in the real world is super easy to take that and replicate that and automate it in the online space. But don't try and build something online and whatever you call it, a sales process, whatever. It doesn't matter what you call it. Just don't try and build something that doesn't work.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and my primary right now is starting off with free webinars to educate and build my following, and then it leads into another thing and a live event, etc. So I got you covered. Thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome.
Can I jump in with one last comment? I'm sorry. I hope I'm not being annoying and educational instead.
No, that's fine.
I agree there is that annoying upsell, downsell in your face all the time. But to me, a funnel might be, take Craig Duswalt. He doesn't sell his mastermind. You can't go to his website and really find, hey, where can I attend a webinar to learn about and join a mastermind? No, what he does all the time is he sells these 2-day boot camps, these workshops you go to. That's what he sells day and night on his website, give away tickets in Toastmasters, go to the Chamber of Commerce, sell the tickets there. And then in that boot camp, he then upsells you to the masterminds, and a percentage definitely join. So to me, that's a funnel.
Yeah.
That's a fishing net. Instead of using a single hook or multiple hooks, he's using a net. And I get that.
Yeah. And again, it's nothing more than a sales process. It's just the one that works for him, and it works great. He's been doing it for years. And back to Randy's point of, using what's comfortable and works for anyone is what you want to do. Like some people, a lot of people couldn't pull off what Craig does. It wouldn't work for them because he is an entertainer. He can gather people. He can rally a crowd. He can get everybody like waving the pom-poms and like that shit don't work for me. If I tried to follow in his footsteps, I'd fail.
Yeah, it has to match your personality. It really does.
Yeah.
I know that's natural.
But yeah, it's exactly right. It's like when you're building a business, you're building a business for you. So you need to figure out what works for you, who your audience is, what works for them. And it really is. I mean, it falls back to the ACT program every time. You got to figure out, who you're selling to, what they want, why they want it. Craig's group, they love entertainment. They love him. They want to be rock stars. They want to be entertained. They want that kind of lifestyle. And it works perfectly. It's just, I could never pull that off. I couldn't get up on stage and to go nuts and crazy the way he does. It just, I'd rather sleep in. But, everybody's got their own angle. Gwen, you've got your hand up there. Sorry, I didn't see that earlier, but I know it's been up there for a while. Are you with us? You're muted if you are.
I'm here. I'm just trying. I was working on something.
Oh, okay. There you are.
Basically, I'm working on the sign up page for a webinar that we're looking at doing.
Okay.
And I didn't know if that would be something to review in the group, or you wanted me to just shoot it over to you later.
Either way is fine.
Okay.
We can look at it.
Get myself up here and I can share screen. That's kind of what I was working on, was the sign in thing for it.
And while she's working on that, it kind of brought to mind, I sent out a bait email last night, and these things work really good. And I do this a lot. It's where you send an email out for something to people that don't have it, and you create the demand and desire. And what I did, it was for SitePop. We put out the new release, and I'm talking about all the cool new stuff it does. And then I say, if you want to see the real meat and potatoes of it, there's a video in the members area. And then they click to go in, and they don't have access to the members area. And it made me a lot of sales between last night and this morning, because I put right in there, I said, if for any chance you've fallen out or your membership got canceled accidentally, here's the link to rejoin. And those work really, really well. All right, Gwen, take it away.
All right. Can you see my screen yet?
Yep.
Okay. And just as you were talking, I was like, oh, I should probably add in what it works on.
Okay, well, here's what you're missing. You're saying,
Okay.
what it is, which is the least important thing of all. You want to say what it does.
Okay.
I mean, it kind of does SEO booster, but what this thing will do that's important to them is it will get them more traffic, more leads, and more sales. That's
Okay.
basically what it does that they're going to be interested in. And if you're selling it to the retail market, you don't want to tell them that it's called Cypto. The name of it is actually local SEO booster, because you don't want them go looking up Cypto and finding out, hey, I could just buy this. I don't need the service.
True.
So you always want to have, that's what's the unique mechanism. That's the purpose for a unique mechanism, is to keep and prevent people from searching it and finding it somewhere else. So that's a couple of things just right out of the gate, because remember, this is a big idea. You're trying to get them to act here. And if you don't tell them what it's going to do for them, you're missing a huge piece.
Okay.
The other thing that you want to do is you want to eliminate objections, because since you've got the word SEO in there, they're probably going to have some preconceived ideas about objections to that. Like, it's expensive, it takes a lot of work, it takes a long time. Those are going
Well,
to,
that's why I was wondering if I even want SEO in there. I know that's what we called it originally.
yeah, you might want to call it something different. You're absolutely right. I know when I pitch this, I don't really refer to it as SEO. I bring that
It's not really.
No, I bring that into the offer after I've created demand and desire for the thing. Then I bring that in and I say, here's what delivers the result. Then I call it an SEO booster.
Okay.
So when I'm actually doing the live presentation, and I probably haven't given a very good example of that, because I've got similar text to this on my opt-in pages and stuff for this. So I was not leading. I was not leading by good example with that. But in the presentation, like when I do the live presentation on this, I talk about it being a referral source, like grow your business through referrals. And
okay.
we've got the best referral source on the planet. It's a new form of referral. And I talk about the old days. I talk about like when people used to talk to their neighbors. And a lot of times I'm talking to a business or a group of business owners that their businesses, they were built on the back of referrals. That's where 90% of their business came from, was referrals. So that's a warm subject and a real warm topic to them. And they know those referrals have been drying up lately.
Right.
It's just like when people used to get business out of the yellow pages and then it dried up. You had to alert them to the fact that it didn't really dry up. It just moved a couple feet over to the right. And now it's online. It's not in a book. It's in a web page. So the same thing here, after I talk about the old days and the people talking across the fences and referring their neighbors, I say now the new referral source is this little thing called Google. Maybe you've heard of it. And I kind of make a joke out of it. And everybody laughs. And now I'm building rapport with them. And then I just go into how it works. I say, here's the reason why it works. I said, people have become more introverted. They're afraid of contact, and they're wearing masks, for Christ's sake. And again, I make fun of it. And I say, and the other thing is, people now are used to information at their fingertips 24/7. Their neighbors are not watering their lawn at 3:30 to 4:30 anymore. That's out the window. Just having that little hour window to talk to your neighbors when they're home from work and they're out in their yard. They want access to information 24/7. So who do they ask? Instead of their neighbor, they're going and they're asking Google. How would you like to have the biggest referral resource on the planet sending you customers? Again, I never said SEO in any of that.
Right.
And then I talk about, okay, here's how we get them to send you the referrals, because they're going to send these referrals to somebody. Here's how we get it to send them to you. We have to prove that you are the best person for them to send a referral to, because they want to send, they're a matchmaker. They want to make sure they're matching the right people to the right solutions. And they're doing this through the use of AI. They're using AI to figure it out.
Right.
Talk about the signals. And then I talk about, if you had 500 of your closest friends that could do this for you on a day-to-day basis, you'd have it licked. And then everybody knows, oh, well, shit, I don't have that. And then you offer it up to them on a silver platter. You say, I've built a network of people just like you that are all contributing their cell phones into this network. And now you've got access to those 500 close friends to do this for you, all completely automated. So that's how I present it in a webinar.
All right. So I got to redo my wording a little bit then. That helps though.
And then when we get to the offer, I remove the objection right up front of, you're probably thinking this costs, thousands of dollars, and it really doesn't. Since we've automated the process, we can do this for under $100 a month for you. And I know if they've ever talked to an SEO guy, it's going to be $1,000 a month, usually on a minimum basis, which is a major objection for them. They can't afford that. So I tell them it's under $100. And then I eliminate another objection. I say, and we guarantee that it works.
Right.
And I say, here's the guarantee. If we can't get you on the first page getting referrals from Google in 90 days, we run the service for free for up to a year until you do.
Okay. So I got the guaranteed results.
Yeah. So that's how I present it. And it's worked really well for the industries that I've put it out that way.
Okay.
And again, I'm never talking about SEO. SEO is
Got it. I will leave SEO off then, and I will reword all this more to referral network.
Yeah, Google is the best referral source on the planet, bar none. There's no better referral source. If you think about it, people are asking for the referral. When they go to search, that's what they're asking for. Who is the best whatever I'm looking for? And Google is going to tell them 24/7, without hesitation, without judgment, without anything. I mean, there's some things you don't want to ask your neighbor because they might think oddly of you.
Now, should I put on there about like the Google My Business and the Amazon, the YouTube, the other services? Or
I would keep it to one.
Leave it simple.
Yeah, one single decision.
Okay.
You don't want to complicate the decision-making process. You just want them to say yes. Once they're a customer, now you can go into your funnel like what Roger was talking about. Then you have them sell them the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
Right. Okay.
The first thing is to change them from a prospect to a customer with an easy, simple, single offer.
All right. I will rework this and I'll send it over to you.
Awesome. And I think that will work well for you.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the input.
Sure. Absolutely.
Hey, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, quick question. I've heard you use this term, Evergreen Presentation.
Yes.
I think I know what that means, but can you give us a real simple, short definition? And then I got a question if it is what I think it is.
Sure. There's a real definition and then there's my definition.
Okay.
The real true meaning and definition of an evergreen system or sequence or webinar or whatever you want is that it's portrayed as though it's live in the fact, like in right now it's live. In 99, probably 100% of the cases, it's not. So it's fake. I don't ever want to come across with something that's fake, ever. So what I do is I do a live presentation that is live, no fake, and then it becomes a recording. And then I put it into an evergreen sequence. And I don't lie, I don't cheat, and don't steal. I tell them, I said, you're opting in to watch a webinar replay that was absolutely phenomenal. Here's what it did for the viewers. Here's anybody that showed up. This is what they got out of it. And it's over, but it's not too late for you. And that's evergreen, because that could go for months, years, whatever. As long as the information stays true and accurate, that is an evergreen sequence.
Okay, so it's not what I thought it was. So now that I am clear on that, when I had you on my webinar as an example, you gave a presentation, and that presentation smoothly ran into an offer. So is that your sales presentation, or is that, I mean, because the way it was constructed, I guess I'm asking, is there a model that you used for that, and or can you teach it to us or share it with us? And the reason I'm asking is because I do keynote speeches, and as you know, like Craig does, and if you're doing a presentation, the bottom line is you want to get them to act on a purchase of a product or service, obviously.
Yes.
You did that, but it was a webinar. Is there a specific process in that sequence that you use? And if so, have you sent it to us, shared it with us?
Almost every day.
Okay.
But it's like there is no one. There's no one sales process. There's no one.
my dear.
There's
I was on John's call now. Sorry.
presentation.
FaceTiming, huh?
I'm gonna mute Gwen there. But like, if there is a call to action that is leading to a sale, that's a sales process.
Okay.
No matter how short or long. So like if we do a webinar and we get people charged up about something and we make an offer at the end, that's a sales process.
Okay.
So that could be considered a funnel. And again, funnel is a very generic open term. A funnel could mean an elevator speech that ends in a transaction. You know, that's a sales process. Some sales processes take 2 minutes and some take, 2 years. And there's all kinds of different paths to the same outcome. But if there's an offer at the end that can create a transaction, that's a sales process.
So do you change your, let's call it sales process, based on who you're speaking to in terms of where you're speaking and who you're speaking to and all that? So you're constantly changing the type of presentation. Okay.
You need to become a chameleon.
Got it. Okay.
I mean, there's some general concepts and things that might be evergreen and run through a lot of different channels and work the same. But what you need to be focused on is this is some of the things that will change it. Some of the things that change it is how it's being presented.
Yeah.
If it's on stage versus in a webinar versus in a sales page. Another thing that will change it is the price of what you're offering.
Right.
If you're offering a very high-end thing, you're not going to sell that in 2 minutes. You're going to you're going to have to dig in deep. You might have to have, like Frank Kern's notorious for this. He'll do like a four video indoctrination series leading you up to the actual presentation.
Got it.
Because he's selling you something for 2 to 10 grand.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I've seen people go from an email invite to a webinar to a 1-hour webinar to a $10,000 sale. They're really freaking good.
Yeah.
Process. Most people can't pull that off. But if, and you can watch them, you can watch these presentations. It's very transparent what they're doing. Knowing what you guys know, all the tricks, you know all what's going on behind the curtain. You can watch those videos and there's this big idea. Oh, there's the unique mechanism. Oh, there's how he's handling the objections before they even come up. Oh, there's how he's creating demand and desire. There's his value ladder, all these things. You can see them just like, like you have an x-ray machine. And you can learn a lot from watching good presenters. You can learn a lot from watching good salespeople. I mean, just if you've ever had the pleasure of watching a good salesman work, I mean, a good one, not a high pressure dickhead. I don't like those guys, but watching a really good salesperson at work, it is a treat. It's a treat to see how they do it. And it's an absolute process, and it works for them. Again, it might not match your personality, whatever it is, but it might. So what you're doing is you're looking for things that you can model. That's the easiest path to success, is modeling. It doesn't matter who you follow or who you're learning from. If you don't find somebody that you can model that matches you, you're going to have a lot of work figuring it out.
Yeah, got it.
If you see somebody that it's working for and you're like, that's my personality, I could pull that off. And you just model their success. And again, knowing what I know you could watch them and you could pick off everything they're doing. You could write a blueprint off it. You could say, oh, okay, they're doing a value ladder. Okay, they're doing a big idea. Okay, they're eliminating objections. Okay, they're building credibility. You could just write a roadmap for exactly what they're doing, and then take it and plug your stuff in. Okay, where's my credibility? What are my objections? What's my value ladder? And just plug your own stuff into it. I can almost guarantee you it's going to work.
Got it.
And it's super easy to do that.
Yeah, I just found one person that it really does fit, and I've been studying him for the last couple of months. And he does not. He sells high ticket. He's at a place now where he's really selling high ticket. I mean, extremely high. But his process and the way he doesn't even really make an offer. By the time you're done, you wish you could afford to be in his mastermind.
Yeah,
that type of so he's basically saying people only buy for one reason. They feel like buying. And so what you're doing really is making it easier for them to make the decision that they already made.
Yeah. I mean, to be quite honest, I've done and followed a lot of the stuff that Frank Kern has done because his personality very much matches mine. His isn't necessarily real, but the persona that he created, the beach cat that doesn't give a shit about anything, that's not really him, but that's the persona he created, and it matches me almost to a T. I've stolen a lot of his stuff, including what we did at Glacier Kennedy, the whole pullback thing of where, you have to do this by consult. We have to have a consultation before we decide if you're the right match for us.
I've considered, I think I'm going to call it scraping. I don't think you actually stole it. You were scraping.
I'm okay with stealing shit.
There's that personality.
Yeah.
I'm just scraping a little bit off the top. I don't need the whole thing.
I'm like lightning. I'm going to take the path of least resistance. So if the wheel is there, I'm going to put it up on end and roll it. Not going to try and recreate one from scratch.
I hear you. Well, thank you anyhow. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We're up at the hour here. I have another appointment I've got to run out to, but let's get back on here next week. Happy 4th of July. I know that's kind of like my Christmas. Love to see stuff get blown up. So have a great week. Great 4th of July. Guys, stay safe and come back with all your fingers and toes, and we'll meet up next week.
You too, John.
Thanks.
Keep your fingers
John.
on.
Happy
Happy 4th of July weekend.
Happy
Thanks,
4th, John.
Thank you, John.
Bye-bye.